Welcome to the Digital Marketing Insights podcast, brought to you by Brightside Digital.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I am very excited and delighted to say we have John Lee with us. John, how are you doing?
Tom, Puerto Rico's sun is shining. Our birds are singing. Life is good.
Love it, John. John, tell everyone why I'm so excited to speak to you and tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your career to date, please.
Well, you are too kind, my friend. I'm just a small town boy from a small state in the United States called Maine. And for the first 18 years of my life, had a very normal upbringing, went to college on an Army ROTC scholarship, spent 8 years in the U.S. Army as a tank commander with a little 13-month tour of duty in Iraq. Post-Army, I tried a bunch of different careers like most people in their 20s and early 30s do. None of them worked. None of them were successful, wasn't happy, wasn't feeling fulfilled, was feeling pretty restless, so to speak. And fortunately, I started consuming the right content, listening to audiobooks, listening to podcasts, reading books. And that led me to say, you know what? I think there's a void in this content production space, specifically within the podcasting space, because I loved listening to interviews of entrepreneurs via podcasts. But every one that I listened to was once a week, twice a month. And I said, where's the daily podcast interviewing the world's best entrepreneurs? And back in 2012, Tom, one did not exist. So I said, I will fill that void. I will be the change that I want to see in the world, as spoken by Gandhi. And I launched Entrepreneurs on Fire, which is a daily podcast interviewing the world's most successful entrepreneurs. That was 10 years ago. That was 3,700 episodes ago. That was 130 million listens ago. And I'm still going strong, releasing an episode every single day, 7 days a week, with a successful entrepreneur. And it's a blast. I get to meet amazing people. And I love doing shows like this too, where I get to jump on podcasts and shows like yours, Tom, and have a little conversation and hopefully help people out with some lessons that I've learned over the years.
Yeah, well, that's what excites me so much. And I want to get onto guests, but really this show is about you, John. And my first question on my show would normally be, what's your main strength in digital? But I'm going to change it a little bit in that you're one of those unicorns, a unique person where I feel like you've mastered nearly every area of digital. And I've seen that through your website, your books, your self-promotion yourself. So I suppose first and foremost, how does someone get to a place like yourself? Where do you consume information? What was your experiences in learning? What was your failures? Start off from the top.
I mean, that's really where I practice what I preach. The reality is this, is that I am such a believer in consuming the right content and having mentors, both close and from afar, of being part of a mastermind where I'm surrounding myself with the right people on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. And that's one of the beauties about having a podcast. One of the beauties about having an interview show that you're experiencing right now, Tom. I mean, you and I are having a one-on-one conversation. And, frankly, I'm sure you're a great guy. Like you seem like a great guy. But if you would just email me out of the blue and said, hey, let's jump on a call. Like, I want to ask you some questions. I'd be like, I just don't really have the time, the energy to do that for everybody that just wants to jump on a call. But, if we're going to jump on a call and it's going to be recorded and hopefully it's going to go out to multiple people, maybe tens, maybe hundreds, maybe eventually thousands of people, like that's a great way that I can help other people. I can provide value to a bigger audience. So then it does make sense for me. And, rewind 10 years, that was me. That was me trying to get other people to come onto my platform, my show, so that I could ask them the questions that I had about business, about life, about the journey of an entrepreneur, and learn from them one-on-one, and also share their message to many. And like, that's what I've always loved. And that's why, to me, podcasting is such a great platform. And that's why I've been able to have all the success that I've had and the different avenues that I've tried over the years. Because for everything that I've tried, whether it be creating a course or doing webinars or, creating a journal, launching a Kickstarter campaign or writing a book or whatever it might be. I've had fantastic mentors who I've been able to interview one-on-one and ask them amazing questions and learn from them on a daily basis. 365 brilliant minds I have access to every single year. Now multiply that by 10, because I've been doing this for over 10 years, and the knowledge just really adds up, Tom.
Yeah, and like, is your guests like a source of inspiration? Do you always have calls and you're like, oh, I need to check this out, or I need to try this? Are you learning from them as much as producing a show?
Always. Every one of my guests, I take something away from. And then there's some of those guests where I hang up and I'm like, oh man, like that really sparked an idea that I'm going to implement, that I'm going to dive deeper on. I mean, like right now, a great example is I interviewed somebody about a month ago about options trading. Now, I used to be in finance in a prior career, but I never really did like day trading or any kind of options. In fact, that word's kind of scary to most people that don't know much about finance. But like I just learned a lot from him. He really sparked some interest, and so now like I'm taking his course. Like I'm going to learn about options trading, and maybe it ends up being for me, maybe it doesn't, but it's going to be something really interesting and cool to learn because, for me, it's like, how can I continue to diversify my knowledge, diversify some potential streams of revenue? So you never know what's going to happen in the future. I mean, if you had asked me 10 years ago, is podcasting still going to be a thing in 10 years? I'd say maybe, maybe not. I mean, look at the things that have happened over the years with Vine, with Meerkat, with Periscope.
Yeah,
I'm talking about like all these thing, Clubhouse that have like popped up, become the thing, and then it's kind of died out. That could have happened to
yeah.
podcasting. Now it didn't, because podcasting is special for a lot of reasons, but it could have, and it still could sometime in the future. So I love just diversifying my skill set, learning new things, because I may wake up one day and be like, all right, well, that opportunity has sunsetted. Now it's time to try something different. And instead of having to learn from scratch at that moment, maybe I've already built up some skills I can just jump right into.
That's what I think is really impressive about you. You're very aware of the marketing side of things, and it's fair to say that you didn't necessarily have a long career in marketing before the podcast. Now you're a phenomenon, but you're really well based on Instagram. You have an insane follower account. Same with LinkedIn. Like everywhere, you're well connected, and I know that's partly because of the podcast as well. But is that a strategy as well? You trying to protect yourself by cross marketing and build your networks via email lists and everything else?
Exactly. Because to me, it's just like, listen, we live in a world of abundance. I refuse to have a mindset of scarcity. I don't believe that, just because somebody has a piece of the pie, that means there's a smaller piece of the pie for me. I feel like we all live in this world where there's so much opportunity, so much abundance. I can learn from everybody. I can put my finger in everything and taste it. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like I do that for my hobbies too. Like I've tried golf. Not a huge fan, but every now and then I go back and dabble in it. I've done surfing. Yeah, it's fun, but not my thing. And like I'm willing to like stop doing things because whenever you say yes to something, you're saying no to everything else you otherwise could be doing. And I just don't want to be in that situation. I don't want to be in that position where like I have said yes to something and that just blocks me out from all the other things I otherwise could be doing, if that yes is not a hell yes. So I really make sure that I'm careful with my yeses and with my commitments, because it does block you off from other opportunities.
Yeah, and hence why I'm so happy that you said yes to being on this show. Tell me a little bit about your books and your courses and your webinars. What's made you kind of diversify into those areas and produce those kind of bits of content?
For me, it's always about engaging with my audience, Fire Nation. So my podcast is where everything starts. I deliver a daily podcast interviewing the world's most successful entrepreneurs at Entrepreneurs on Fire. And whenever my audience reaches out to me and says, John, I enjoyed this, or I didn't like that, and any kind of engagement, whatever it might be, I always reply to them and I say, what's your biggest struggle right now? Because I always want to know what my audience is struggling with, because then that provides me a glimpse into the solutions that I could provide to my audience that could be very beneficial to them, because they're providing me these insights, these glimpses, these keys into what they want, into what they need. So that's what I really love about having those kind of conversations with my audience, because it's not about me inventing or creating the wheel, trying to come up with something that might stick, throwing things against the wall until I find that one thing that quote unquote works. Why not just go right to the source, my core audience, Fire Nation, ask them what they're struggling with, and then decide, okay, do I want to provide a solution to that? And a lot of times the answer is no, because it's just not my thing. So maybe I'll refer them to a solution. And, if I'm an affiliate, then I'll actually get a piece of that pie, which is nice because I'm setting that product, that service, that solution to their problem, a paying client, and then affiliate income can be a benefit and a result of that. Or if it's just something that I'm like, you know what, that's something that I could create and I want to serve personally, then that's an opportunity that's really exciting as well. So I always keep that in mind.
And out of interest, how do you communicate to the Fire Nation and get that
A
feedback?
lot of it's via social media messages, either Instagram, Facebook. A lot of it's them replying to my email newsletters that I send out. They subscribe to my email newsletter, and I encourage them in the welcome email sequence to reply with one of their biggest struggles. Like, it's literally one of the emails that gets sent out. And so I learn a lot from that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And is there a campaign or any work that you've done yourself that you're really proud of that you want to talk about, or something that you've made really successful away from the podcast?
I'd say the biggest thing outside of the direct podcast itself that I'm proud of is about a year ago, I published my first traditionally published book, The Common Path to Uncommon Success. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the interview, like, every one of my guests I learn from. They tell me something, they teach me something, I learn something, I pick up something. And I've taken over the past 10 years these 3,700 conversations, and I've distilled down a 17-step roadmap to financial freedom and fulfillment. So if you're willing to take 17 steps to get to financial freedom and fulfillment in your life, then this book is for you. The Common Path to Uncommon Success. I'm really proud of it. I poured my blood, sweat, and my tears into the creation of the book, not to mention the 9 years prior of gathering the knowledge and information from countless successful entrepreneurs to make it a reality. And it's something that I'm very, very proud of.
In terms of your guests, I have to ask, is there anyone, I'm not going to ask your favorite one or anything like that, but I am going to ask you, was there anyone that really surprised you? You thought, wow, that's completely changed my mindset on
There's
something.
been countless of those as well. I've had so many favorites. I've had so many people who have jumped on, and I'm saying to myself, how are they going to deliver value? And then they just blow me away. And it's, again, when you have over 3,700 past guests, I mean, you're just going to continue to be surprised, continue to be awed by the humans that are in this world. Like, I just remember when I first launched, everybody saying, you'll never find enough guests to do a daily podcast. And now I get 400 applications a month of people wanting to be on the show, most
Yeah.
of them very qualified to be a guest. So it's just been quite the journey, quite the eye opening experience.
And in terms of softwares, anything you'd recommend a digital marketing audience for them to check out, maybe enhance their roles a little?
Listen, I would just say find the content that resonates with you. I mean, you're obviously listening to this podcast with Tom, so keep doing that. If you're the person that's looking for great content, because I know the average person listens to 7 podcasts, check out Entrepreneurs on Fire. My headquarters is eofire.com. I have a great newsletter, and we have free courses, like a free course on podcasting, freepodcastcourse.com. If you want to maybe explore your level of interest in creating and launching your voice, your message, your mission with the world. And overall, it's a world of abundance. So just dive on in.
Love it. And lastly, we always end the show on this last question, John, which is, if you could bottle up one personality trait you have yourself that you could pass on to others, what would it be?
Consistency, like just the fact that I get up every single day and I do the right things for health, for wellness, for business. And I've been doing it for 10 years now. And that compounding exponential benefit is very obvious.
That's it, John. If anyone wants to touch base with you, how can they find you?
eofire.com. That's the home base. And of course, check out on your podcasting app, Entrepreneurs on Fire.
That's it. Thank you, John, for being part of the show. And thank you, everyone, for listening.
Thanks, Tom.